Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama, 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 Jaya Jaya Giribara Raja Kisori, Jaya Mahesa Mukha Chanda Chakori, Jaya Gaja Badana Shadanana Mata, Jagat Janani Damini Duti Gata, Nahi Tava Adi Madhya Avasana, Amita Prabhau Bedu Nahi Jana, Bhava Bhava Vibhava Parabhava Karini, Swabasa Biharini, Pati Devata Sutiya Maho, Matu Prathama Tavarekha, Mahima Amitan Sakahi Kahi, Sahasa Sarada Sesham, Sevata Tohi Sulabha Phalachari, Baradayani Purari Piyari, Devi Puji Pada Kamala Tumhare, Suranara Muni Sab Hohi Sukhare, Mora Manorathu Janahu Nike, Basahu Sada Ura Pura Sabahi ke, Kinheu Pragatana Karana Tehi, Asakahi Charana Gahe Vaidehi, Vinaya Prema Basa Bhai Bhavani, Malamurati Musukani, Sadar Siya Prasadu Siradhareu, Boli Gauri Harashuhiya Bhareu, Sunu Siya Satya Asisa Hamari, Puji Mana Kamana Tumhari, Narad Bachana Sada Suchi Sacha, Sobaru Milihi Jahi Manuracha. Now the full line you can repeat. Wait until I finish the full line. Manu jahi rache hu milihi sobaru sahaja sundara savaro, Karuna nidhana sujana silu sanehu janat ravaro, Ehi bhati gauri asisa sunisiya sahita hiya harashiyali, Tulasi Bhavani hi puji puni puni mudita mana mandira chali, together. Manu jahi rache hu milihi sobaru sahaja sundara savaro, Karuna nidhana sujana silu sanehu janat ravaro, Ehi bhati gauri asisa sunisiya harashiyali, Tulasi Bhavani hi puji puni puni mudita mana mandira chali, Tulasi Bhavani hi puji puni puni mudita mana mandira chali. Syavar Ramachandra ki jai, Satgurunath Maharaj ki jai. सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। 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 9th chapter, verse 1 through 5. Shri Bhagavanuvacha idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshamyanasuyave jnanam vijnanasahitam yajñātvā mokṣase shubhāt rajavidya rajaguhyam pavitramidamuttamam pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam susukham kartumavyayam ashraddadhānāः puruṣāः dharmasyāsya parantapa aprāpya-mām nivartante mrityu samsāra vartmani maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsthāni sarvabhūtāni nachāham teshvavasthitah nacha matsthāni bhūtāni pashya me yogamayshvaram bhūtabhrunna cha bhūtasthah mamātmā bhūta bhāvanah. Bhagavan summarizes the nature of truth, essence of Advaita Vedanta in 4 statements. Statement number 1 is Maya tatamidam sarvam. This whole world, idam jagat, Maya tatam. It is pervaded by me. But not in this form as Krishna, not in the form as son of Vasudeva, but in my unmanifest form. Jagat avyakta murtina tatam. Idam jagat avyakta murtina tatam. I pervade this universe in my unmanifest form. Statement number 2 is Matsthani sarva bhutani. This whole universe, this world of names and forms is in me. Generally we feel world is outside. If somebody asks us, where is world? What do we point? Here is world. Bhagavan says, no, world is not there. World appears there. World is Matsthani. It appears in consciousness. How did we see this? First we have to bring the world in thoughts. World is perceived only through a thought. And that thought appears in consciousness. Therefore, world appears in consciousness. Here Bhagavan doesn't elaborate too much upon why world appears as thoughts. He says that elaboration you have to do it in Mandukya Upanishad. That elaboration you have to do in other text. But here the beauty is just appreciating this point that world appears in consciousness. To make it easier, add mind in between, thoughts in between. Third statement was, Nacha aham teshu avasthitaha. I am not in them. I am not supported by them. This is a contradiction to statement number 1. What was statement number 1? I pervade this universe. And statement number 3 is, I am not in this universe. So how can you pervade something and yet say I am not in that thing? Because one is real, another is unreal. The substratum is real. What is being pervaded is the superimposed. So the substratum doesn't depend upon the superimposed. Consciousness doesn't depend upon world. Other way around, world depends upon consciousness. World depends upon consciousness. Just for the time being, if you replace world with thoughts, something new opens up in these verses. Statement number 1 will be, consciousness pervades every thought. Statement number 2, all thoughts are in consciousness. Statement number 3, consciousness doesn't depend upon thought. But opposite is true. Thoughts depend upon consciousness. Sometimes we have this question, if I forget about consciousness, what will happen? Will my moksha go away? Forgetfulness of consciousness is how, through a thought or without a thought? With a thought. And what does Vedanta say? Consciousness doesn't depend upon thought, including Brahmakara Vritti. Once knowledge takes place, it is that eternal thing which is independent of everything, including thought. So clear knowledge is in this way. No dependence upon anything. So consciousness is the enlivener. It gives existence to thoughts. It doesn't depend upon thoughts. Therefore, this third statement, aham teshu na avastitaha. I am not in them. Then the last statement is, nacha matsthani bhutani. Arjuna, really speaking, this world is not in me. Direct contradiction to second statement. What was second statement? World is in me. Statement number 4, world is not in me. So how should we understand this? In that consciousness which is of the nature of reality, unreal world is non-existent. In the rope, snake might appear. In the rope, there is no trace of snake. Illusory snake. That is the fourth statement. We will be able to understand it only when we appreciate two things which are being spoken about are not two independent entities. One real entity, another unreal entity. Real pervades the unreal. The unreal is supported by the real. But in reality, the real is not in the unreal. It's only an appearance. And really speaking, too much of real and unreal. Unreal is not present in the real. In consciousness, there is no trace of mind and the world. One who gets it crosses over all sorrow. Now somebody might say, this is too heavy for me. Sunday morning, real, unreal. If let's say I don't go from step number 1 all the way to step number 4, if I understand only step number 1, are there any benefits for me? Or is it binary? Either I get all or I don't get any benefit. See, the beauty is, okay, we had seen some more concepts also, right? Adhyaropa-Apavaada. What is Adhyaropa? When the truth is pointed out through some conditioning, that is called as Adhyaropa. What is Apavaada? When those conditionings are removed because they are unreal, such that the truth alone remains, that is called as Apavaada. Our problem is, before studying Vedanta, we see only conditionings. What does Adhyaropa do? It brings consciousness in our attention. Along with the conditioning, truth is pointed out. So I'm able to appreciate, oh, this is where I should search for the truth. Now all of you are very good in identifying which is Adhyaropa, which is Apavaada. If I say, consciousness is the enlivener of sense organs, is it Apavaada or Adhyaropa? Adhyaropa, very good. Why is that? Sense organs are used to point out consciousness. But if you say consciousness is devoid of sense organs, that is Apavaada. Now look at the beauty. If somebody is able to do only Adhyaropa, step number 1, still that person's life will be happy. It will be much better than previous person who sees only conditionings. How is that? What does statement 1 say in this verse? Maya tatamidam sarvam. Consciousness pervades everything. Imagine a person who is able to really own up this statement. In any action, there are 3 things involved. One is the doer, second is the action itself, third is object of action. The karta, the karma, and the vishaya. Now what is the implied meaning of the word or the statement Maya tatamidam sarvam? Consciousness pervades the karta, consciousness pervades the action, and consciousness pervades the objects. If you want to make it sweeter, replace the word consciousness with God. If you want to make it even sweeter, replace the word God with your Ishtadevata. Even more sweeter, my Ishtadevata. Let's say somebody's Ishtadevata is Devi. Somebody's Ishtadevata is Bhagwan Shiva, Bhagwan Krishna. So Maya tatamidam sarvam, how will he say it? My Lord Shiva pervades this conditioning, the action which I am doing, and the objects on which or with which I am working. Now this mindset is sufficient to bring divinity in every action. This mindset is powerful enough to see meaning in every work. In fact, this mindset is the foundation of Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? In other words, whatever bhavana, emotions we feel towards God, trying to protect those emotions amidst work that work will be called as Karma Yoga. The devotion for God that we have, which we can practice at the seat of our altar. If we can maintain that same devotion while performing any work, that work is called as Karma Yoga. Because in his heart there is devotion. This is Ramana Maharshiji's definition. Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Bhrut Deva Pujanam. When I understand Bhagwan pervades this entire universe, wherever he has kept me in this universe, and whatever actions he has given me as my duties, doing those actions with this understanding that God pervades everything, he says that is puja. That is the expression of Karma Yoga. So if you read that statement number 1, that is the foundation of Karma Yoga and Bhakti. Ramcharitmanas, Bhagwan Rama tells Hanumanji, Ananya Bhakti is to protect this understanding. मैं सेवक सचराचर रूप स्वामी भगवंत. I am a sevaka and this whole universe is pervaded by my Lord. With this bhavana, whatever work is done. See, Bhagwan pervades universe, but we cannot serve every part of universe. It is infinite. Where will we go serving and helping? So Bhagwan has given us smaller portion of that universe. You serve here, but with this understanding that I pervade all. See, many sadhakas are also into art. Some singing might be there, dancing, painting. If we read this statement, Maya tatamidam sarvam, that sadhaka will find a new way of discovering God through art. Because what pervades that art form is Bhagwan, who is expressing through the artist the same Lord, and who is expressing through that art that same Bhagwan. Pujo Guruji says, when Bhagwan is in our heart, art becomes special. Heart and art. Actually, he said H-E-R-T, right? When H-E-A-R-T, when he is there in our heart, art becomes special. It's all based in this line, one line, Maya tatamidam sarvam. Just stay with this idea that nothing in life is meaningless. It might be the most mundane work. That's why we see all our saints and sages, as far as work is concerned, they did not do some extraordinary work, meaning professional work is concerned. What was Kabir Das Ji's profession? Weaver. Rai Das Ji, cobbler. So this is another aspect. If we have to find meaning in work, we have to appreciate, reflect on this, that my Bhagwan pervades this work. If he pervades it, while doing that work, am I able to see him? So Adhyaropa, step number 1, also has benefits. Step number 2, if I understand, world is in Lord. That is a similar expression. Both Adhyaropa, statement 1 and 2, will be similar. Are there benefits of Apavaada? Nacha aham teshu avasthitah. I am not in them. What is the benefit of apavada? Here I apply it to consciousness. Whenever there is a thought which is bothersome, one way of crossing that thought is distancing from that thought. Remember last time Gurudev's advice? Problems are in me, I am not in the problems. Bothering thoughts are in me, I am not in bothering thoughts. Meditate in this way, strengthen this understanding. And the last line, really speaking, there is no world. When they say that last statement, world is not in me, what are they saying really is, from the standpoint of consciousness, there is no world. From consciousness standpoint, there is no world. So there are different levels in which we have to absorb this teaching. If not level 3 and 4, I should definitely strive to stay in level 1 and 2. What is level 1 and 2? Adhyaropa. That along with conditioning, I should see consciousness. Let conditionings be real, doesn't matter. Let sense organs be real, mind be real. What is not encouraged is level 0. What is level 0? Only body, only mind, only sense organs, only objects. Are you all with me on this? Level 0, level 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Choice is ours, where we want to go. Then another point we discussed was 3 sattas. Correct? Vyavaharika satta, pratibhasika and paramarthika. So when Bhagavan Krishna says there is no world, he is talking from paramarthika, absolute standpoint. When he says this whole world is pervaded by me, he is talking from Vyavaharika standpoint. And we should remember both are important. While in Vyavahara, remember Paramartha is pervading it. And in Paramartha, there is no trace of world, no trace of samsara. And our spiritual growth is when we are able to give more reality to which of these 2 sattas, Vyavaharika or Paramarthika? Paramarthika. More importance to Paramarthika than Vyavaharika. Will Vyavaharika disappear? It will not. If I study Vedanta, will people start being nice to me? Not necessary. If I am nice to people, people will be nice to me. If my study of Vedanta brings love, acceptance, good conduct in us, result of that will be good response from the world. But just because we have studied Upanishad and Vedanta, Vyavahara will not suddenly start being conducive. What is this person's understanding? In the midst of whatever Vyavahara, he is able to give more reality to Paramartha. That is the main point. Just like when we see a movie, what we are seeing is so many things. Movie is going on, things are happening. Movie is seen very clearly, screen is unseen. But between movie and screen, or the reel which is projecting, the projector, in our understanding, what should we give more importance? The screen and the projector. Although we are seeing the movie, but importance is for what is real. Okay, now Bhagavan gives an example. Imagine for these 4 statements, what example you will give. But he finds one unique example. See the 6th verse. Yatha kashasthito nityam vayus sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani tyupadharaya yatha kashasthito nityam vayus sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani tyupadharaya. Yatha, just like akasha sthitah. You have to rearrange this line a little bit. Yatha sarvatragah mahan vayuh. Yatha sarvatragah mahan vayuh. Nityam akasha sthitah. Just like vayu, which is so great, sometimes it can be very turbulent, tornado or a storm. No matter how ferocious it is, how big it is, that air lives in space. No air can go outside of space. He says, in the same way, tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani. All beings, no matter how big or great they are all appearing in consciousness. You see the example? What is Vayu referring to? All jivas. Vayu is referring to all jivas. No matter how great a jiva is, or how many jivas are there. Just like it doesn't matter how great air is, or how many things are there in that air, it appears in space. It is supported by space. What is space here? Consciousness. It is that same consciousness which pervades this whole universe. All jivas are pervaded by consciousness. When you give an example, it becomes easier to visualize. Think of a ferocious storm and notice how that storm is appearing in space. Like that, all jivas are appearing in consciousness. Now, whenever you take an example, there will be some similarities that you want to point out for your main point. What are the similarities between the space and air example and Atma and Jiva, consciousness and Jiva, that you want to point out? You tell me, what are they? Sat? Subtle. Space is subtle, it is not seen. The tornado which is there is very well felt and seen. Similarly, consciousness doesn't become an object of sense organ. In that way, it is subtle. But the world becomes an object of sense organ. Where does our attention go when we see a storm? On the storm or on space? Storm. In the same way, between world and consciousness, attention goes easily to world. For Jnani, it goes easily to consciousness. Somebody like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, they have to put forth effort to think of the world. See, we have to struggle to withdraw our mind from sweets. They struggle to keep their mind on sweets such that they have to ask for sweets. You know, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, whenever he would go in Samadhi, he would ask for sweets such that he can stay in which satta? Vyavaharik satta. Otherwise, he always lives in Paramartha. For his mind to stay in Vyavaharik satta, he needs something to hold on to. So that is the similarity, one similarity. Anything else? All pervasive. Unattached. Meaning, movement of air doesn't affect space. Whether it's a storm or it's a fragrant breeze. Neither does the breeze make space more fragrant or calmer. Neither does the storm make space agitated. Similarly, world and thoughts don't increase the glory of consciousness, nor do they tarnish, reduce their glory. That is another similarity. Space doesn't come in contact with air. Consciousness doesn't come in contact with world. And when we look at air, we generally feel air is in air. How should we understand? Air is in space. So when we look at world, how do we feel? World is in world. Who thinks about where is world appearing? Bhagavan says, pay attention. World is in consciousness. It has a substratum. Okay, so these are some similarities. Now just look at your summary of topics. First class we had discussed. What was the theme of verse number 1 to 3? Praise of Brahma Vidya. Has it been done? Of course, yes. Bhagavan spoke about who is a qualified student, one who has Shraddha and one who doesn't find faults. Bhagavan spoke about what is the result of this knowledge. You will be freed from all inauspicious things in life. And he spoke about how this knowledge should be learnt. That is its greatness. It is the most purifying, pavitram, pratyakshaavagamam. You can validate it for yourself, first-hand experience. And susukham, dharmyam. It is joy-giving. It will keep us on the path of dharma. So this was the summary of glory of Brahma Vidya. Then verse number 4 through 6, what was the theme? Essential nature of truth. Has it been revealed? No? Of course, yes. See, every topic connect with the verses. How was it revealed? 2 words. Adhyaropa-Apavaada. Absolute nature of the truth was revealed through Adhyaropa-Apavaada. Because we just saw it, I'll not recap it. But do connect back, what is the theme and how those verses have opened up that theme for us. Now, verse number 7 through 10, what is the theme? Lord's nature and creation. So by the end of 10th verse, what should you be able to do? Elaborate for yourself what is Lord's nature according to Bhagavad Geeta. And what is the nature of creation? Look at the 7th verse. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrujamyaham sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrujamyaham. Bhagwan in 5th verse had spoken about I am the sustainer and I am the creator. What was the last line of 5th verse? Bhuta brunnacha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. Bhuta brun means creator. Bhuta brut also means sustainer. I nourish this world. And bhuta bhavanaha means creator. Somebody might ask, what happened to dissolution? So he starts with that topic. 6th verse. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam. Hey Kaunteya, kalpakshaya, when it happens, when the cycle of creation ends, what happens at that time? Sarvani bhutani mamikam prakritim yanti. All beings return back into not only Prakriti, my Prakriti, Mamikam Prakriti. In BMI chart, where is Prakriti? I already gave you a clue. Where is Prakriti? Vasanas. Primary meaning of Prakriti is unmanifest. Then comes the subtle creation. Over here only mind and intellect is mentioned, but cosmic mind and cosmic intellect. Subtle creation. Then comes the gross creation, body and the objects. See, perceiver, feeler, thinker. Which of the three creation is it? Causal, subtle or gross? Subtle. Perceiver, feeler, thinker. It is subtle creation. Emotions and thoughts, which creation? Subtle creation. All of you are clear about the word subtle, right? This is not our colloquial subtle. That was a subtle point. Not that subtle. Subtle means not perceptible by sense organs. So subtle creation is mind level creation. Thoughts, for example, are subtle. What is causal? Ignorance, avidya, vasanas, they are called as causal. So causal is the blueprint for subtle and gross. What kind of subtle creation is going to emerge? Who decides? Causal creation, avidya. If you have to understand it at cosmic level, first look at individual level. What kind of thoughts will emerge in our mind? Who decides? Our own latent vasanas. So these vasanas decide how subtle creation is going to come. When thoughts are done expressing, where do they go back? First, they go back to unmanifest. In deep sleep, when we say mind dissolves, where does mind dissolve? In Karana Sharira, in causal. Now Bhagavan says, just like I am the substratum of subtle and gross creation, I am also the substratum of causal creation. Therefore, this is not only Prakriti, this is what? My Prakriti. Causal creation is under my control. So when Kalpakshaya happens, when this whole universe is ready to get dissolved, all names and forms go back into my Prakriti. Then, when the next cycle of creation is ready to emerge, who is responsible for emerging? Who is responsible for emergence of creation? Prakriti? Bhagavan says, my Prakriti. I lend existence to Prakriti first. In my presence, Prakriti manifests as creation. Yesterday we were discussing in 13th chapter, Bhagavad Geeta, between Prakriti and Purusha, consciousness and nature, Prakriti, there is a joint venture. What happens in joint venture? Two people come together. One party says, we have some skill set. Second one says, we have something else. And both together we can go forward. So in this cycle of creation, if your end product is creation, what are the two parties? Purusha and Prakriti. Consciousness and material Prakriti. What is Prakriti giving to creation? The modification part. See, consciousness is unchanging. If consciousness alone does creation, it will be boring creation. Just think of it. Nothing in creation changes. All of us are sitting in one place. Nobody moves around, staring somewhere. It will be very dry creation. So what is the variety sponsored by Prakriti? What is consciousness sponsoring? Existence. What else is it sponsoring? Consciousness. Ability to know doesn't belong to Prakriti. That's why I see carefully in 13th chapter, Purushaha sukha dukkhanam bhoktrutve hetu ruchyate. One who is responsible for knowledge is Purusha, not Prakriti. Because that consciousness comes from Purusha. Purusha supplies existence, consciousness. What is the third thing Purusha supplies? Ananda. It's a very unique point. Ananda, which is seen in Prakriti, is lent by whom? By Purusha. And what is our ignorance? Ananda belongs to Prakriti. All actions that we are doing, to which category does it belong to? Prakriti or Purusha? Prakriti. So if we think some action will make us happy, what is that thought? Thought of knowledge or ignorance? It is ignorance. Action will only manifest happiness. Just like if you churn buttermilk, that action of churning will only manifest that butter which was already there in that buttermilk. If somebody asks you, where did the butter come from? What is your answer? Churning rod. Not churning rod. Where did butter come from? It was already present in that buttermilk. So if we say happiness comes from action, it is like saying butter comes from churning rod. What is the true understanding? Happiness is our nature. Actions done well with devotion manifests that nature of the self in our mind. So Bhagavan says, this is my introduction. How has he introduced himself? I am that place where this whole universe goes back after dissolution. And when the universe is ready to get projected, I am the one who projects this universe. Bhagavan, how do you decide when universe should get dissolved and when it should get projected? If you are upset with universe, you just dissolve it. You feel like creating it again, you project it. What decides it is karma of jivas. In one cycle of creation, when the total samashti karma of jiva is complete, whatever results they have to get, they have gotten. Then that whole universe dissolves. Whatever results that they are supposed to get in the next cycle of creation, when that ripens, universe emerges again. The one who protects our karmas, even during dissolution, he is Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatam, there are plenty of stories. Naradji was Dasi Putra, lived a pious life. But next cycle of creation began, he was born as Deva Rishi Narad. He says this is the power of devotion, this is the power of bhakti. Whatever we have done as sadhana never goes in vain. Have you all heard the story of Matsya Avataara? Who was that Raja? Satyavrata. It is said Bhagavan wanted to make him Manu in the next cycle of creation, but he had some limitations in his personality. One of it was he was too proud of his abilities. So Bhagavan says, unless I remove this, he cannot become great. So what he does is, he becomes a small fish in the pond where this king was offering arghya. So when he takes the water, that fish comes in his hand. And he tells him, can you take care of me? So he goes and puts it maybe in an aquarium. Next day he finds it to be bigger than the aquarium. He puts it in a bigger tub. It outgrows that tub, puts it in a lake, then in an ocean. And after becoming that huge fish in that ocean, that fish tells Satyavrata Raja, can you please take care of me from other fishes which are there in that ocean? Can you please protect me from them? Then Satyavrata understands this has to be the Lord who has come to humble my abilities, to teach me lessons about one who really takes care is the Lord. I thought I was taking care of the fish. He has come to teach me this lesson. Bhagavan is the one who takes care of everybody. Then he tells Satyavrata, after 7th day, there will be pralaya. But you can get a boat, and I will come to lead that boat. Why is the boat needed? He says you protect all the karmas of jivas. Gather them. Gather the seeds. I will safely take it with me. Why does he need to protect it? Second line, kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visurjamyam. Because next cycle of creation, the same seeds will be used for blueprint of creation. Who has to be in which loka? Decided by karma. Bhagavan doesn't randomly send. You go to Swargaloka, you go to Bhuloka. Based on karma, it is presented. Okay. Now, one small point I will mention. Madhusudana Saraswati ji, great Mahatma, scholar of Advaita Vedanta, he mentions one point where he wants us to think. What was the last line of this verse? Kalpakshaye punastani kalpado visurjamyam. At the beginning of creation, I project this universe. This is the statement. Now I refers to whom? Bhagwan Krishna, who is speaking right now as pure consciousness, but you can say Bhagwan Krishna is making that statement. He is raising a question: what is the purpose of projection for the Supreme Lord? What is the purpose of projecting this universe for the Supreme Lord? These questions we also get once in a while, Why am I here? Why is this whole universe like this? Why did God have to create universe in the first place? Now you see what he gives, different answers. Or he gives options. What is the question? What is the purpose of projection for the Lord? First option is, he says, for his own enjoyment. Bhagwan was getting bored by himself. Imagine, pralaya happens, nothing is there, only Bhagwan by himself. So first option could be for his own enjoyment, for his own bhoga. He says this cannot be possible because there is no enjoyership in the Lord. There is no bhoktrutva in Bhagavan. What will happen if he becomes a bhokta? He will become another jiva. There will be no difference between jiva and Ishvara. Therefore, you cannot say Srishti is for bhoga. Second option is, okay, if not for his enjoyment, maybe jiva's enjoyment. Maybe creation is projected for somebody else's enjoyment. Is this option possible? He says this option is also not possible because one who is enjoying through jiva is that same consciousness. Jiva is not another independent entity. Same Chaitanya through Jiva's upadhi is becoming bhokta. So he says you cannot make that statement that projection of creation is for somebody else's enjoyment. Third option, he says creation is projected so that we can get liberation. Is this possible? According to Madhusudana Saraswati ji, he says even this option is not possible. Why? Because he says bondage is unreal in Vedanta. If there was that only one non-dual truth, there is no real bondage. That's why we say knowledge alone is sufficient, no action is needed. If it was real bondage and we had to do some real things through this world to be liberated, he says that is going against Vedanta philosophy. Because bondage is unreal, there is no need for this world to become a means for our liberation. But the last point he says is very nice. Somebody asks him, okay, these three things are not possible. What is your viewpoint? He says there is no need to respond to these questions because in Vedanta creation is unreal. Whatever is, see, for that illusory snake which is appearing, if you keep asking this question, what is the purpose of that snake? And you give different answers. Rope felt like enjoying. Somebody else, some other snake, wanted to get company of this illusory snake. Or the last one, rope wanted to be liberated. or illusory snake wanted to get liberation. All these statements are meaningless. Why? Because there is no snake. He says, get this understanding. Whenever we get questions about creation, what does Vedanta want us to think? From the standpoint of consciousness, there is no creation. Don't only say there is no creation. Without seeing substratum, if we reject superimposed, we will not go anywhere. Seeing the substratum, we need not speak too much about superimposed. Okay, so that was Madhusudana Saraswati ji. I thought of indulging a little in core Advaita Vedanta. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.